Let's talk about ventless or vent-free fireplaces. Are they a creation of the devil or are they a good thing? Where is a great location to have them and where is not? Who are they right for? Who are they not right for? I see a lot of people talking about either the pros of vent-free fireplaces or the cons. There's one particular guy on Facebook that is very proud of all the vent-free fireplaces he's ripping out. So let me tell you about me so you know who's telling you the rights and wrongs about vent-free fireplaces. My name is Rich Morgan and I own two companies, Magic Touch Mechanical and the Fireplace. I've owned both companies for 29 years. I have a Hearth design certification from the National Fireplace Institute. I'm a master level technician, licensed HVAC technician, and a BPI certified building analyst. And indoor air quality is a huge part of what we do. So I have certifications up the wazoo. I'm not saying that to brag, I'm just telling you my experience level. So as we talk about this, you know where I'm coming from. A guy who's actually tested air quality in homes, and a guy that sells fireplaces and heating equipment. That said, I should tell you about the fireplace because we do sell ventless fireplaces, but we also sell electric fireplaces, vented fireplaces, direct vent, open face fireplaces, wood burners. You name it, it runs the whole gamut. We own a showroom in Mesa, Arizona, and I have 18 electric fireplaces on display, 10 different vented gas log sets, direct vent fireplaces, and vent-free fireplaces, sometimes known as ventless fireplaces. Let's start with vent-free fireplaces and the cons or the negatives of them. A vent-free fireplace is exactly what it sounds like. There is no venting. It's using room air for the combustion process, and anything left over is also going into the house. The efficiency rating of a vent-free fireplace is 99.9% efficient. That means in the combustion process, it is eliminating 99.9% of the byproducts left over from the combustion process itself or burning a fire. In that combustion process, the things a vented fireplace are getting rid of are things like CO, so carbon monoxide, water vapor, believe it or not. Yes, when you burn a fire, water vapor is one of the byproducts. So basically, those are the two big things that we need to focus on when we're talking about vent-free fireplaces or fireplaces in general. Let's start with CO. We all know carbon monoxide is a deadly gas, and you stand the chance of having a 0.1% byproduct of carbon monoxide going back into the air you breathe. Now, when we're measuring air quality, we're looking for all kinds of things. VOCs, which are volatile organic compounds. These are gases that come from new carpet, new furniture, many products in your house off gas a certain amount of VOCs. And VOCs are a bad thing. You don't want to breathe VOCs. But what people don't talk about is the parts per million, and that is what percentage of the air that you're breathing contains harmful VOCs. The same thing goes with carbon monoxide. So with a vent-free fireplace where it's never venting, what happens? So that's where the 99.9% efficiency rating comes in. That means 99.9% of the energy, that heat, all that output is put back into the house. Those remaining gases are also in the house. So you'll hear a lot of people that sell vent-free fireplaces, myself included, say, it's not a bad idea to have a window cracked a little bit when you're running your vent-free. But I do not agree with people that are scaring the public and telling people, oh my God, this is the worst ever, blah, blah, blah. There is another guy, and I really like his videos. It's a fireplace company, and I like the way he explains it. But there are some things that my experience shows that his doesn't, with regards to he's selling just fireplaces. But again, my background is in indoor air quality. I do have the certifications, not only in the fireplaces, but also in that air quality, in testing homes, the building tightness, all that kind of stuff. The way he talks about vent-free fireplaces is he explains the 99.9% and then says, if I offered you 2 cups of coffee and 1 cup of coffee had 0.1% poison in it, would you drink it? Or would you take the coffee that had no poison in it? He does raise a valid point there. He's not using a scare tactic. He's using a good analogy. And so in an ideal world, if you had the choice between those 2 cups of coffee, great. Take the one with 0 poison in it versus the one with 0.1% poison in it. But here's what you really need to know to make an informed decision. So Vent-Free Fireplace is going to emit roughly 2 to 3 parts per million in CO, carbon monoxide. Let's talk parts per million. The analogy that I use to explain parts per million on anything, VOCs, carbon monoxide, etc. If you had $2 or $3 out of $1 million, you are a far stretch from being a millionaire. That 0.1% really boils down to 2 or 3 parts per million. So 2 or 3 parts per million is not dangerous. That is why there are millions of these things installed all around the country. Again, I sell all types of fireplaces, so I'm just as happy to sell a customer a vented fireplace or a direct vent fireplace or an electric fireplace for that matter. But what it really boils down to is what fits the customer's needs based on what they want, based on their budget, based on their home, etc. So the reason I say that, the reason there are tens of millions of them across the US is in a lot of cases, a vent-free fireplace meets the customer's needs more than an electric, more than a direct vent fireplace, a B-vent, etc. So let's talk about what those needs could be and why a vent-free might be right for you. First and foremost, the fact that you don't have to add venting. Let's say you didn't have a fireplace at all. You have a blank wall. You want a gas fireplace. We have to think about the budget. What's the budget? Because when we're adding venting or a flue or a chimney to a gas fireplace, we are adding a lot of cost, right? We have not only the cost of the materials, but the cost of the design. We're going through the roof or the wall, so we need flashings and sealant and all that kind of stuff. And a lot of times, it just puts people outside of the budget that they had for this fireplace. So that's a big thing. Next, when it comes to design and space, there are a lot of applications where running venting isn't feasible or doable. Let me give you an example. An interior wall. Now you have eliminated the ability to do a sidewall vent. Comes out of the top of the fireplace, goes directly out an exterior wall. Obviously, you can't come out of the fireplace and go into a bedroom or a kitchen or whatever's behind that wall. So now we have eliminated the ability to do that with a vented fireplace on that interior wall. Our next option, and what most people probably think about, is straight up through the attic, through the roof, a typical chimney. You have one of those two options. You have to go up and out, or you have to go straight up. Sometimes there are construction aspects of your home that are not going to accommodate a vertical chimney or a vertical flue. So now we've eliminated that. You're stuck with electric, or you have to put this in another location. Well, that's not always feasible, and maybe not always in the room people want it in. So from the application standpoint, this is something else that Vent-Free offers. Another thing that vented fireplaces, specifically open-faced fireplaces that use what we call B-vent or atmospherically vented chimneys, is you're going to lose heat. They're not as efficient. And the reason for that is they're not 99.9% efficient. They might be 60, 70, or 80% efficient, meaning 30, 40, whatever percent of the energy that is not being moved into the home, it's going up the chimney, so you're wasting that efficiency. Whereas with the 99.9%, all of that heat generated is going into the room. So you're going to get a much more efficient burn from your fire. Okay? Again, 29 years that I've been doing heating with gas furnaces and selling gas fireplaces, direct vent fireplaces, vented fireplaces. I love gas. Don't get me wrong, right? I've cut my teeth and made my living on gas products. I'm not pleased with some of the gas bans that we're seeing across the country. We don't have that problem here in Phoenix, Arizona. Our local government said, no way, ban the bans. So we still have our options here, but we'll see what comes in the future. I also now love electric fireplaces. If you're not sure what kind of fireplace to consider, electric fireplaces are a much, much better option than they were even just a few years ago. Specifically in Phoenix, and here's why. Electric fireplaces can run with or without heat. We, on a regular basis here in Phoenix, are removing people's gas, at their request, removing people's gas fireplaces and replacing them with electric fireplaces because they burn too hot for them. Or like this year, where we've had a couple of cold days, but you know, it's going to be 70 something degrees here today. It's January 15th actually. And so electric fireplaces used to look like crap. They had heaters in them that made noise. They looked like crap. So I didn't sell them back in the day. I would tell people, yes, that's not our product. We sell heating products and gas fire products. Now, in recent years, a trend has been what they call cool wall systems, depending on the brand that you choose. Cool wall advantage being an example, where there is ducted systems to take gas fireplaces and displace that heat elsewhere, either into another room or disperse it more around the house. Or there are even some designs where you could take that heat that you're producing and dump it outside. Now, part of my business is energy efficiency, right? There's nothing efficient about taking energy and wasting it outside. I grew up in New York, where my father used to yell at us all the time and say, hey, I'm not paying to heat the street, when we would have the door open for too long. Basically, you're heating the street when you have a fireplace that you're displacing all that heat outdoors. But the reason for it is so people can use their fireplace here in Phoenix more. Now, in a place like Minnesota, you guys want all the heat you can get, right? So this is where an electric fireplace might not be the greatest choice, but I'll caveat that with one thing. If you're trying to use a fireplace as your main heating system, then electric fireplaces aren't for you, but a vent-free might be for certain rooms, right? Last thing I talk about, and then I'll wrap up with some final notes and some suggestions for you that are looking at ventless and vent-free. Okay, the combustion process on any fire requires oxygen. Let's take a direct vent fireplace. With a direct vent fireplace, what's happening is there's two pipes. One is bringing in oxygen and fresh air into a sealed fireplace. There's no air being exchanged between the home air and inside that firebox. It's getting it from outside. And then in the other pipe, it's venting out the exhaust. Okay, so that oxygen is required to make fire. Same thing with a ventless fireplace, except now it's open-faced, right? So it's getting its oxygen from the room. So in order to make sure oxygen levels don't go low in that room, there's something called an oxygen depletion sensor in every ventless or vent-free fireplace. And it's monitoring the oxygen levels in that room. It will shut off the fireplace if that sensor ever detects that the oxygen level's too low. Now, I've never seen that happen, and here's the reason why. We have installed many, many, many of these things, and our clients love them. I have a couple of situations where the client had their option because they did have the ability to put in a vented fireplace or an electric fireplace, but they chose, for specific reasons, a ventless fireplace. I have never once seen any one of those be in a situation where that ODS, that oxygen depletion sensor, shut that fire off. Here's the reason why. The most important factor when designing a vent-free fireplace installation is that it's not in a restricted space. The manufacturers refer to it as an enclosed space. You can't put one of these in an enclosed space. So you cannot put one of these in a bedroom. Can't put one in a bedroom because you could close the door. So it's not sharing air with that hallway. You can't put one in a bathroom. But most people are putting their fireplaces in a den or in a living room or a common area that has a lot of open space. Okay, I'm going to close out with my advice. Are vent-free fireplaces worthwhile? Are they not worthwhile? Who are they for? Who are they not for? I'm going to do that by telling you something about me. I have what's known as interstitial lung disease. I grew up in New York. I was in the HVAC trade, crawling around in 200-year-old attics, practically eating asbestos for lunch and dirt and dust, and it's a career-related lung disease. I have these in our showroom, and I'm in there all day. Now, we have a good open space. It's not enclosed whatsoever. We have good fresh air filtration coming into that space, so it never concerns me. Would I put one of these in my own home? Probably not, because I have other options. I'll give you an example. One of my fireplaces is in our family room. It's a gas log set, so it uses what's known as a B-vent. It's an open-faced fireplace, but it uses a gas log set. That air is being taken up that chimney, taking up that flue, that combustion air. But I can't use it that often. I've been able to turn it on twice this year because we've had such a warm winter, and I can't even run it for long. I'm not going to replace that, but as we speak, we are designing a electric fireplace, floating fireplace, a nice 8-foot long floating mantle suite in my master bedroom. And I'm doing that for ambiance. Does it heat? Yes. But I really want to use it for the ambiance without the heat for the most part. Would I maybe use it as supplemental heat here and there just to take the chill out of the air without heating the whole house? Yeah, I probably will. So what I recommend to people that are looking at these is go to our website, fireandairaz.com. I do a lot of real talk blog posts, just like these videos. Now, I will post some more videos on this subject, so subscribe to this channel and hit that little bell so you get an alert. And I promise over the next couple of weeks, I'm going to be doing more on this topic. They're going to be better plans, so I'll give you the meat and potatoes right up front. Or drop me a note in the comments if you have any specific questions. I do my best to get back to everybody, whether you're in my market or not. But go to that website, look at our blog, because I have written detailed articles explaining the differences between fireplace types and the pros and cons. I've spelled out the cons, I've spelled out the pros of all of them. So thanks for watching. I appreciate you. We'll see you next time.